Hello and welcome to my channel, PawfectPastimes. My name's Amanda. My friends call me Amo. I live in Dorset in the southwest of England with my husband and my 3 dogs. And I have Willow on her perch and Remy's wandering around. I'm not sure where the pup is. So this is a different kind of podcast today. I'm back in my little heaven place. It's grey outside, not raining, so I can speak to you quite calmly. The light's a lot kinder in here. I don't look washed out and ill like I did in the last one. But there you go. That's the perils of podcasting in a conservatory, I suppose. I'd like to say welcome to many new subscribers who've come over to join me. I believe a lot of you might have come over from Arty Farty Annie's. She mentioned me and my subscription count went up quite well. You're more than welcome here. I enjoy all your company. I answer most of your comments if you're here. I just enjoy being here now. It's a safe space for me to be without having to people, but I people with you. You know what I mean. Anyway, so today's podcast, it's just a quickie, and I thought I would look at some of my past life endeavours, as it were. Seeing as you may have come over from Arty Farty Annie's, you probably appreciate this more. Most of my podcast now is knitting and crochet, but I do other things. I do a lot of sewing. I sometimes do arty stuff, but not too much yet. If you are a textile type person, a mixed media type person, if you have many fingers in many pies type person, which I think people who follow Annie and the like probably are. I think I'm going to excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, if you're a mixed media textile type person, you may know of a lady called Maggie Grey. Many years ago, she ran a online magazine called Workshop on the Web. Wow. And it ran for 16 years. Her and her daughter-in-law Fiona run it. It was online, a subscription service that you bought into, and then you'd have projects to do by some amazing textile artists. And I was part of the team. In 2012, we went to hard copy. We came away from the internet. It was a big decision. We did have quite a lot of books of Maggie's and Linda Monk's, that was Willow, sorry, and Jan Messer, and lots of textile artists had books published by the company who supported Maggie. So we went into hard copy, and it was in December 17 when the first book came out. And the article I have in here was on Hero Products, soluble bases, other products that you can stitch into, and they disperse by heat or by film. So I did this article, and this one that was pieces on microorganisms when you look through a microscope. All just articles for the books. In book 2, there was also a large online community and large online presence of the book too. If you became a member of the club, there was a big online section too, a bit like a Discord is now, I suppose. So I did book articles, I did interviews, I did product reviews, I did articles on, let's see what was in this one. This would have been online embellishing, using the embellisher, which I often had with me when we did shows. We did a lot of shows, Exeter and all that sort of thing, Shepton Mallet. And these came out every 6 months, I think, and we got up to quite a few. I think there was 8 in total. There's four here. Linda Monk came in as guest editor because it just made a change from Maggie doing all the work. In Wow Book 7, this is where the link comes from, I think. Wow Book 7, Jan Horrocks doll. You can see the sort of thing it is. If you're textile-y, you'll know. Wow Book 7, I did an article called, they called it Turning Japanese. I call them my Temari Not balls. Okay. Now what it was many years ago, I did Temari balls, gave them away. I think there was quite a bit of a thing about Temaris at one point, and I made them from scratch. You make a little box, you put some rice or beads in it and a wish, and then you wrap it and wrap it and wrap it until you end up with this tennis ball size ball, and you wrap it with thread on the outer layers, and then you stitch into it. And I had loads of these balls left over, so I decided to cover them in different ways. And now they are in this article, and Michael, who took all these photographs, put my balls in a beautiful glass vase. And when they came back to me, I put what I have left in this huge vase that was a wedding gift from my son when we got married, with the most enormous bouquet of flowers in it. And it's a huge vase, sorry. And it has all my Temari Not balls. Not as in tie a knot, K-N-O-T, as in not, as in they're not Temari balls. I'll just make myself a bit of space. So it's a bit faded now. The link to Annie I will put below, but she's currently making balls and bits and bobs. I'll get to that in a minute. This is a proper genuine Temari ball where I've stitched over. It's quite old now and very faded, as you can see. It's faded in the sunlight as it's been in the jar. Ooh. This one, that's garden twine. Stitched over, wrapped. You can hear the proper Temari balls have a rattle and a wish inside, and you give them to expectant mothers and young children, new babies, with a wish for health and happiness usually. This is a proper Temari ball. You'll have seen them. I think that one got eaten by the dog once because it's a bit wonky now. But like I said, they're quite old. I think the article in the Wow book was 2021, and these were old then, a bit faded and knocked about. This one, I had some silk, and I layered them up. I cut them into tiny squares with pinking shears, and each tiny little floret has got a pin in it. So I started with the pale pink ones there. In the middle of each little group of squares is a tiny pin, and then they faded round the purples into the blues and a green. So that's all silk and stuffed into the Temari ball. A few years ago there was a thing about encrusting, which is when you get a piece of fabric and you just encrust it with stitches and layers of texture. And I have a few pieces of those. I had this one with a mushroom. Can you see the mushroom there? But the stitching on it is bullion knots, French knots, seeded, all different kinds of threads. There's button wheels there, couched threads, spider wheels, spider webs, everything you can think of to encrust and enrich the surface of the fabric. This piece was left over, so I wrapped it around another ball core. This one is a ball covered in crewel yarn in a leaf stitch and beads. Still rattles. Another proper Temari ball, quite dirty now. Like I said, they were in a bowl once, and the dogs, one of the dogs when they were a puppy, found it was great fun. Now I think Annie did some with sequins. Here's one totally covered in sequins. I enjoyed doing this one. It hurt the fingers a bit, but again, it was keep going till the next sequin. And it used up, I had a pot of quite a lot of sequins. I used up quite a few of those. And this one was a twiddle. A twiddle was something we did quite a long time ago in one of the workshops. If you get several strands of thread, I have nothing to hand. If you get several, I'll just get some thread. I've just picked out one of my, this is my green threads box. As you can see, it's chaos. I've just picked out 4 random threads. There's a couple of bits of crewel wool, some chainette, other bit there. A twiddle is when you literally keep turning it like you would be if you were making a cord. You anchor one down on one end on your stitching, and you keep twiddling, and as you would know, it will start to twiddle into these curls. And then you can stitch those down, couch them down. They make a fabulous texture. You get all the colours that are in that piece of cord, and we call that a twiddle cord. And that is what's all over that. There's knitting yarns and sparkly bits, boucle yarn. And I anchored one end of the cluster of yarns down, and I twiddled and twiddled and twiddled, and they make those funny loops, and they're couched down. Great way of using up extra yarn, threads, bits and bobs, awkward ones. Some of the things like this tube yarn, they're hard to find what to do with. That's why I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawers of different threads like this, waiting to be used. So that was a good covering method. This one was some beautiful silk remnants. Just some, I had a bag of couture leftovers, and there was these silk shirts bits, just the leftover bits, a bit like you'll be getting in your bazaar packs if you buy them. So I've layered those over a ball and done stitching all around it to keep it down. And there's some sequins there. They were probably in the fabric. They had just a chiffon. Excuse me. Get to the bottom now. This one was again some offcuts of some beautiful fabrics that I just layered, couched down, edged, filled in gaps with stitch. There's some chain stitch and all sorts there. Yeah, that one still rattles. Most do. That one doesn't. I'll tell you why in a minute. This one is just beads. I had one of those packs of beads I didn't know what to do with. for a start, they're pink. I had no idea why I've got it. I probably got it in a mixed grab bag. So that is totally encrusted in large beads. It's quite weighty, that one. And this one, again, it is the same as the scrappy balls, like Annie's been doing. And when it's all couched down, I've done a bit of embroidery network over that, just to do something different. Now the ones, I'll put them back in there in a minute. Most of these are the Temaris that I made. Like I said, if you know, if you've got a Temari book, it will tell you how to do them. You make a box, you fill the box with rice and you wish, and you wrap it with wool, and then you wrap it with a heavy thread, and then you use a finer thread, and then eventually you use a normal thread to be able to stitch on. But I've done a few of those, a couple of those on, oh, there's another real Temari, look, I've started there, quartered up ready. I've done a few of them on felt dryer balls, readily available from usual online supplier. So those are felt dryer balls. They've been stitched over. I can't remember which ones are, but you get the picture. They're very soft and lovely to stitch into. And this is a, when I go away, I throw in a bag with my pens and pencils and sketchbook in, and my knitting and sewing box, and I throw in something like this. And this has got in more balls just to stitch on. This is a dryer ball. I've covered it in a chiffon scarf I think I got from a charity shop, and I'm stitching into that one, been stitching into that one. I can remember sitting around a table on the Gower Peninsula 3 Christmases ago stitching that one. And this one has some lace stitched onto it that I'm stitching into. Haven't finished that one. That's a bit of ribbon on that one with the roses on. The ones that fell out, these are little balls. There's a funny little thing you can get that's like a cage that you put wet felt tops in, and you shake it and shake it and shake it and shake it, and it makes balls like these. Sometimes they're not too round, and you can then stab them with a needle felter if you like, or just don't worry about it too much. And here are some of the smaller ones that I've been stitching onto. So if you follow Arty Farty Annie, you'll know that she's been stitching onto her bizarre scrap packs and making baubles, balls, pillows, squishies, all sorts of things. And she's going to string them up. And I did mention to her that I had done some rectangles, and I twisted the end to make the humbug, which she mentioned. This is how you'll have known about me. I did that. I had some beautiful Indian ribbon, which I picked up from one of the shows. You know, there's always a stall at the shows, Exeter or Ali Pali or whatever, and he has all this Indian trims. So I picked up the trim because it was a magpie moment. It glittered, so I wanted it. Never knew what to do with it. It's so encrusted. So I cut it into pieces and I made these little humbugs. And they're beaded in between the red ribbon and the brown ribbon. You can see why I couldn't figure out what to do with it. It is just so thickly encrusted, but I had to have it. and on the end some beads with Indian bells. And this hangs in the doorway over there, and it catches your shoulder as you come through and it tinkles, and I love it to bits. So that's a quick show and tell. I am trying to destash. I am trying to get rid of my things that are just accumulated over the years. But I've gone and bought a bizarre scrap bag. Thank you, Annie. And I will be doing some of Annie's things as well, just to add to my large collection. Because it's nice and rhythmical bit of stitch, and it complements the knitting and the crochet and everything else. As long as I'm using my hands, usually with a needle or a hook. And so I can be making some more. I probably will make some kits up like I did with these little guys, so that I can grab the bag or sit in the garden, or when I go on holiday it goes in with my knitting and everything else. And I just fancy a change from knitting with a knitting needle. I sew with a sewing needle. So I hope you've enjoyed that little insight into a show and tell. I'm hoping to come back with December vlogs, but I'm not going to be doing Vlogmas. I'll see what I can do. Maybe weekly, just to show you how I'm getting on with the Advents. Maybe a bit more, don't know yet. Take it as it comes. I do know Vlogmas is inundated with other people doing Vlogmas, and there's only so many hours in the day you can spend watching other people's vlogs. In a normal week I struggle watching any vlogs over 45 minutes, to be honest, so if I do any, it'll probably be short and sweet, and we'll just take December as it comes, shall we? I hope you enjoyed that. I will catch up with you soon. Have a lovely rest of your week, and keep creating. Bye.